You have tried to be strong for everyone. You have tried to understand every delay, repair every relationship, anticipate every problem, and hold together situations that were already pulling apart. You have prayed while tired, smiled while uncertain, and kept moving even when your heart quietly asked for somewhere safe to rest. But hear this clearly. I am not asking you to become stronger at carrying what I am asking you to release. There is a difference between faithfulness and pressure. There is a difference between responsibility and control. There is a difference between waiting with me and worrying without rest. And there is a difference between walking through a difficult season and allowing that season to become your identity. You have learned some of those differences the hard way. Yet none of those lessons are wasted. What looked like delay was often preparation. What felt like silence was often space where I was teaching you to recognize my voice without depending on noise. What felt like a closed door was sometimes protection from a future you could not yet see. And what felt like weakness was often the moment you finally stopped pretending you could carry everything alone. This is where the new season begins. Not necessarily with a dramatic event. Not with a perfect explanation. Not with every problem disappearing overnight. It begins when you stop letting fear make your decisions. It begins when you stop allowing old regret to speak louder than grace. It begins when you stop chasing approval from people who only know part of your story. It begins when you understand that my presence is not reserved for emergencies. I am with you in ordinary rooms. I am with you while you wash dishes, sit in traffic, answer messages, prepare for work, lie awake at night, or stare quietly at the ceiling, wondering what comes next. You do not have to wait for a crisis to speak with me. You do not have to become eloquent before you pray. You do not have to hide confusion to prove that your faith is real. Sometimes the most honest prayer is only, God, I need help. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is admit that you are tired. Sometimes the next step is not to push harder. It is to become quiet enough to recognize what I have already been saying. My child, I want you to notice the rhythm of your own heart. Notice what happens when you begin imagining everything that could go wrong. Your shoulders tighten. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your mind races ahead into conversations that have not happened and problems that have not arrived. You begin carrying tomorrow with strength I gave you for today. Then you wonder why you feel empty. Return to today. There is grace here. There is enough light for this step. You do not need the full map to walk faithfully. You need enough trust to move with me one decision at a time. The future does not become safer because you worry about it longer. It becomes heavier. Planning can be wise, preparation can be faithful. But fear disguised as preparation will drain your spirit and convince you that peace is irresponsibility. Peace is not irresponsibility. Rest is not laziness. Stillness is not a lack of faith. Sometimes, stillness is where wisdom catches up with emotion. Sometimes the pause before an answer protects you from a choice made in panic. Sometimes what you call doing nothing is actually the moment you stop interfering with what I am arranging. There are things happening beyond your sight. Connections are forming. Motives are being clarified. Doors are being tested. Your discernment is deepening. Some opportunities are being delayed because timing matters. Some people are being removed because proximity is no longer healthy. Some plans are changing because the version of the future you imagined was too small for the person you are becoming. You do not need to force what is not ready. You do not need to chase what requires you to abandon your peace. You do not need to explain every boundary to someone committed to misunderstanding it. And you do not need to convince everyone that your path makes sense. I know the whole story. People see fragments, they see one decision, one conversation, one season, one reaction. I see the nights before it, the prayers behind it, the history underneath it, the pain you did not share. the restraint no one applauded, the courage it took to say no, the courage it took to stay, the courage it took to leave, the courage it took to begin again. That is why my understanding must become more valuable to you than universal approval. You were never called to be understood by everyone. You were called to walk faithfully. There will be moments when obedience looks strange to people who were not present when I prepared your heart. There will be moments when your peace requires a decision someone else dislikes. There will be moments when you choose silence instead of defending yourself. That silence will not always be weakness. Sometimes it will be discernment. Not every accusation deserves an answer. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. Not every invitation to conflict deserves your acceptance. You have spent enough time fighting battles that did not belong to you. You have replayed words that should have ended when the conversation ended. You have mentally prepared speeches for people who were never willing to listen. You have allowed other people's opinions to follow you into prayer. Now I am teaching you a different way. Ask before reacting. Is this mine to carry? Is this mine to answer? Is this mine to fix? Is this mine to release? Those questions will protect your peace. My child, if this message is giving you a moment of clarity, subscribe so you can return for more messages of faith and encouragement. Like this video if it reminds you that you do not have to carry everything alone. And in the comments write Amen or share one thing you would like prayer for. Let this community pray with you and ask God for wisdom, protection, peace, and strength in the days ahead. Now keep listening, because there is another burden I want you to put down. The burden of yesterday. There are memories you have kept alive long after the lesson was learned. Mistakes you confessed but still use as evidence against yourself. Moments you replay as if self-punishment can rewrite history. Words you wish you had not spoken. Doors you wish you had not opened. People you trusted too quickly. Warnings you ignored. Times you stayed too long. Times you left too early. You have asked, what if I had known better? But you know more now because you lived through what you did not know then. Wisdom has a cost, but that cost does not have to become a permanent sentence. Conviction points to the truth and leads you forward. Condemnation points to the past and tells you to stay there. Learn the difference. I will correct you because I love you. I will show you where your thinking needs to change. I will expose patterns that harm you, but I will not ask you to build your identity around your worst moment. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to become wiser. You are allowed to receive mercy. You are allowed to stop introducing yourself to your own mind by the name of your biggest failure. You are not only the person who made that mistake, you are also the person who learned, the person who repented, the person who survived, the person who changed, the person who now notices what once went unseen. Your past can become a teacher without becoming a prison. That is what freedom looks like. You remember. But the memory no longer controls the next decision. You carry a scar. But the scar does not choose your future. You honor the lesson, but you stop worshiping the pain. Some of you have lived inside old wounds, because pain became familiar. You knew how to survive there. You knew what to expect. You learned the language of disappointment. You learned how to prepare for rejection. You learned how to read a room for danger. You learned how to give too much before anyone could leave. You learned how to become useful so people would keep you around. You learned how to over-explain so no one could accuse you of being careless. But now something different is happening. Peace is beginning to feel possible. And because peace feels unfamiliar, part of you does not trust it. Listen carefully. You do not have to create chaos just because calm feels strange. You do not have to return to confusing relationships because consistency feels unfamiliar. You do not have to sabotage a good opportunity because struggle is the only environment in which you learn to feel valuable. I am teaching you to receive peace without suspicion, to receive kindness without asking what it will cost later, to receive rest without guilt, to receive help without feeling weak, to receive love without abandoning yourself. This may be one of the deepest forms of healing in your new season. I am not only changing what surrounds you, I am changing what you believe you must tolerate. Some things once felt normal because you had lived around them too long. Constant anxiety, mixed signals, emotional exhaustion, people who only reached for you when they needed something, opportunities that demanded your health in exchange for recognition, relationships where you were always explaining why basic respect mattered. You called some of those things normal. Now your spirit is becoming less willing to live there. Do not mistake that discomfort for arrogance. Discernment often begins as discomfort with what you used to accept automatically. You are learning that forgiveness and access are not the same thing. You can forgive and still choose distance. You can pray for someone and still maintain a boundary. You can wish someone well without inviting the old pattern back into your home. You can love deeply without allowing another person's chaos to become your responsibility. That is not bitterness. That is wisdom when it is carried without hatred. I want your heart soft. I also want it protected. A soft heart does not mean an unlocked door. Compassion does not require self-abandonment. You can be kind and clear at the same time. You can be loving and firm. You can listen without agreeing. You can care without rescuing. This is the maturity I have been forming in you. There was a time when you measured love by how much you could endure. Now you are learning to measure love by truth, consistency, respect, patience, and peace. That change will alter the kinds of people you allow close. It will alter the kinds of opportunities you accept. It will alter the way you speak to yourself. It will alter the way you pray. You will stop praying only, God, make this work. You will begin praying, God, show me whether this belongs in my life. That prayer is different. It gives me room to close what you are emotionally attached to. It gives me room to redirect what you planned. It gives me room to answer the deeper need underneath the request. Sometimes you ask me to restore a relationship. I restore your ability to trust without losing yourself. Sometimes you ask me to reopen a door. I show you a different path. Sometimes you ask me to remove the storm. I strengthen the foundation beneath you. Sometimes you ask me to make another person understand. I teach you that your peace cannot depend on their understanding. Sometimes you ask for faster progress. I slow you down because your character needs to arrive at the same place as your opportunity. Delay is not always neglect. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes delay is preparation. Sometimes delay is mercy. You have seen moments where something you wanted badly would have harmed you if it arrived earlier. At the time, the closed door hurt. Later, you understood. Do not forget those moments. They are evidence that my wisdom sees farther than your urgency. You often see the next desire. I see the consequences 5 decisions later. You see the pain of waiting. I see the strength being built while you wait. You see the silence. I see the room being cleared. You see one closed door. I see the hallway. Trust grows when you remember that my perspective is larger than the scene you are standing in. That does not mean every hard thing has a simple explanation. It means you do not have to understand every detail to know that you are not abandoned. My presence is not measured by the speed of an answer. My care is not measured by whether a day feels easy. My faithfulness is not measured by whether you receive the exact outcome you pictured. Sometimes my faithfulness looks like strength to make it through a day you thought you could not face. Sometimes it looks like one clear thought in the middle of confusion. Sometimes it looks like a friend calling at the right moment. Sometimes it looks like an opportunity disappearing before you can make a costly mistake. Sometimes it looks like a quiet conviction that says, do not go back. Sometimes it looks like enough peace to sleep. Do not overlook small graces while waiting for large miracles. A life changes through many small moments of guidance. One calm decision, one healthy boundary, one honest prayer, one apology, one act of patience, one refusal to respond in anger, one morning where you choose gratitude before checking everything that could make you anxious. Those decisions look ordinary, but ordinary faithfulness builds a different future. You keep expecting transformation to feel dramatic. Often it feels repetitive. Choosing again, trusting again, resting again, praying again, forgiving again, returning again, returning again. Consistency is one of the quiet languages of spiritual maturity. You do not need to feel powerful every day. You need a place to return when you do not. Return to me, return to truth, return to stillness, return to what you already know about my character. You will have days when your emotions disagree with what you believe. That does not make you faithless. It makes you human. Bring both to me. Bring the belief, bring the fear, bring the gratitude, bring the anger, bring the questions, bring the part of you that trusts and the part of you that is still learning. I do not need a polished version of you. Honesty creates room for real relationship. You do not have to impress me with spiritual language. There are moments when silence is enough. There are moments when tears are prayer. There are moments when the sentence, "Please stay close," holds more truth than 100 rehearsed words. I am close, not only when you feel me, not only when music is playing, not only when you are inspired. I am near in the room where you are tired, near in the car where you overthink, near in the office where you feel unseen, near in the kitchen where you carry questions you do not know how to answer, near in the night when everyone else is asleep, near when you are grateful, near when you are disappointed, near when you are confident, near when you are afraid. My presence is not a reward for perfect performance. You are invited to become aware of what is already true. That awareness will change your days. When you remember you are not alone, your mind does not have to carry every scenario to its conclusion. When you remember you are not alone, you can pause before responding. When you remember you are not alone, you can ask for help without shame. When you remember you are not alone, rest becomes an act of trust. You have treated exhaustion like proof of devotion for too long. You have believed that if you are tired enough, worried enough, useful enough, or available enough, then you must be doing something right. But a life of constant strain is not the same as a life of faithful service. Even good work becomes unhealthy when you forget that you are a person, not a machine. You need rest. You need laughter. You need quiet. You need healthy rhythms. You need conversations that do not require you to perform. You need spaces where your nervous system can settle. You need permission to stop solving. You need time where productivity is not the measure of worth. Rest does not remove purpose. Rest protects your ability to carry purpose well. There are opportunities ahead that will require a healthy version of you. Do not arrive at them already empty. Do not burn your strength proving that you deserve the door. If the door is right, you will still need wisdom, energy, patience, and clarity once you walk through it. Preparation is not only learning new skills. Preparation is also learning how to stop, how to listen, how to say no, how to choose what matters, how to leave room in your life for me. You are entering a season where your pace matters. Not every good opportunity is a divine assignment. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every open door should be entered. You will need discernment more than speed. The world often rewards urgency. I will teach you to value alignment. Urgency says, decide now or lose everything. Wisdom says, become still enough to know what is true. Fear says, if you do not control this, it will collapse. Trust says, do your part and release the outcome. Approval says, make sure everyone agrees. Integrity says, make sure your decision can live peacefully inside you. Those voices lead in different directions. Learn to recognize them. There are two roads you will repeatedly face. One is the road of trust. The other is the road of fear. Trust does not mean you never feel afraid. It means fear does not get the final vote. Trust does not mean the future is obvious. It means you believe guidance can arrive one step at a time. Trust does not mean every prayer is answered immediately. It means waiting does not force you to abandon what you know about my character. Fear wants instant certainty. Trust learns to walk with enough light for today. Fear keeps asking, what if? Trust asks, what is true right now? Fear rehearses disaster. Trust prepares wisely and then releases what it cannot control. Some days you will drift toward fear. Do not turn that into another reason to condemn yourself. Return. That is all. Return to me. Return to your breath. Return to the next faithful step. Return to the truth that one anxious morning does not erase months of growth. Spiritual growth is not a straight line. There are days of clarity and days of fog. There are days when prayer feels natural and days when every word feels heavy. There are days when you feel strong and days when you need to be carried. The important thing is that you keep returning. Every return strengthens familiarity with peace. Every return teaches your mind that panic is not home. Every return makes trust easier to recognize. And slowly, something changes. Your first response becomes less frantic. You notice fear earlier. You recover faster after disappointment. You stop letting one bad moment define the entire week. You become gentler with yourself without becoming careless. You learn that self-compassion and accountability can exist together. You can acknowledge a mistake without attacking your identity. You can admit weakness without surrendering hope. You can recognize a limit without calling yourself a failure. This kind of honesty builds resilience. Harshness does not always make you stronger. Sometimes it only makes you afraid of your own humanity. I want to teach you a better kind of strength. Strength that can rest. Strength that can apologize. Strength that can change direction. Strength that can ask for help. Strength that can forgive without reopening unhealthy access. Strength that can walk away without needing the last word. Strength that can wait. Strength that can begin again. This is the strength that will carry you into the next chapter. And there is a next chapter. Do not let the slowness of this moment convince you that nothing is forming. Roots grow before branches become visible. Foundations exist before anyone admires the building. Preparation often looks empty from the outside. But you know things are different. Your questions have changed. Your standards have changed. Your tolerance for chaos has changed. Your understanding of peace has changed. Your prayers have changed. Once you prayed only for circumstances to change. Now you also ask me to change you. Once you asked only for the door. Now you ask for the wisdom to know whether you should enter it. Once you asked only for the relationship. Now you ask whether it is healthy. Once you asked only for success. Now you ask for the character to carry it without losing yourself. Those are not small changes. They are signs of preparation. My child, pause here and remember this. Growth is not always visible to the people around you. Some of your biggest victories happened where no one clapped. You did not send the angry message. You did not return to the old cycle. You chose rest instead of proving something. You told the truth. You kept a boundary. You forgave yourself. You asked for help. You stayed quiet when arguing would have felt satisfying. You prayed for someone you were tempted to resent. You celebrated another person's blessing while still waiting for your own. Heaven sees private victories. Do not underestimate them because they do not make noise. The person you are becoming is being built in those moments. You are not being prepared only to receive good things. You are being prepared to keep your heart healthy when good things arrive. Success creates its own temptations. Recognition can feed pride. Opportunity can create hurry. Abundance can create distraction. A new relationship can awaken old insecurity. A new responsibility can tempt you to overwork. That is why inner preparation matters. I want you to enter your next season with gratitude, not desperation, with discernment, not fear, with humility, not insecurity, with confidence, not arrogance, with boundaries, not walls, with generosity, not self-erasure, with hope, not denial. You do not need to become perfect before something good can happen. You need to remain teachable, remain close, remain honest, remain willing to correct course. That is enough for the next step. If this message is helping you release some of the pressure you have been carrying, take a moment to like the video so you can find it again when you need this reminder. Subscribe for more prayers and faith-based encouragement. And in the comments, you can write "God, guide me," or share a prayer request. We can pray together that God gives you clear direction, protects your peace, strengthens your heart, and helps you walk wisely through whatever comes next. Now listen closely. There is one more place where I want to bring healing. Your relationship with waiting. Waiting has frustrated you because you often interpret delay as absence. But waiting is not empty. It can be active without being frantic. You can prepare. You can learn. You can build. You can care for your health. You can strengthen relationships. You can practice skills. You can organize your life. You can become more honest about what you truly want. Waiting can reveal motives. It can separate desire from desperation. It can teach you whether you want a thing because it is aligned or because you are afraid of being left behind. Do not waste the waiting room by staring only at the door. Look at who you are becoming while you wait. There are things you know now that you would not have understood if everything happened instantly. Patience taught you to listen. Disappointment taught you discernment. Loss taught you what matters. Silence taught you where you had become dependent on constant reassurance. Loneliness taught you the difference between company and genuine connection. Failure taught you that your identity can survive an outcome. Waiting taught you that life continues even when one prayer remains unanswered. These lessons will follow you into the next season and protect you there. A fast blessing without preparation can become another burden. A good opportunity received with an unhealthy mindset can become another place of fear. A relationship received before healing can repeat the old wound. So do not despise preparation. You are not being forgotten. You are being formed. Some things will arrive quickly, others will unfold slowly. Do not rank my goodness by speed. A sunrise does not become less beautiful because it takes time to brighten the sky. Roots are not less important because no one can see them. Slow progress is still progress. The important thing is that you remain present enough to notice. There will be signs of growth that look small. You sleep a little better. You stop checking someone's page. You say no without rehearsing an apology for 3 hours. You read something, and it speaks directly to the question in your heart. You notice that a conversation no longer controls your mood. You begin to enjoy your own company. You can imagine a future that is different from the one you lost. You stop assuming every delay means rejection. You become more interested in peace than in proving a point. These are meaningful shifts. Celebrate them. Gratitude helps you see progress that anxiety overlooks. Anxiety searches for what is missing. Gratitude recognizes what is forming. You can practice both honesty and gratitude at once. You can say, "This is still hard," and also say, "I see how far I have come." You can grieve what ended and still welcome what is beginning. You can miss someone and still know distance is wise. You can feel afraid and still make a faithful choice. You can have unanswered questions and still experience peace. Life is often more complex than either face or maturity learns to hold truth without forcing everything into a simple category. There are people you love who may not understand the version of you that is emerging. Be patient. You do not need to punish them for not recognizing the change immediately, but you also do not need to shrink to make them comfortable. Let your life become the explanation. Let consistency speak. Let calm choices speak. Let healthier boundaries speak. Let your generosity remain intact without returning to self-neglect. Let people see the fruit over time. You do not need to announce every lesson. Some things are better embodied than explained. Kindness under pressure teaches more than speeches. Patience during conflict teaches more than arguments. Integrity in private teaches more than public claims. Your life can become a quiet testimony that healing is possible. Share hope with people who are hurting. Not by pretending you have all the answers. By listening. By making room. By saying, "I understand that this is hard." By praying when someone asks. By offering practical help when you can. By refusing to use another person's pain as an opportunity to feel superior. Compassion grows when you remember how much you needed it. Your difficult season can become a source of gentleness. That is one way pain is redeemed. It no longer exists only as something that hurt you. It becomes wisdom that helps you avoid hurting others. It becomes patience with people who are learning. It becomes discernment without cynicism. It becomes boundaries without cruelty. It becomes a deeper respect for hidden battles. That is a beautiful transformation. Do not let suffering harden what grace has been softening. There will always be reasons to become cynical. Choose discernment instead. Cynicism assumes the worst. Discernment observes carefully. Cynicism closes the heart. Discernment protects it. Cynicism says, "No one can be trusted." Discernment says, "Trust should grow where consistency exists." Cynicism avoids hope to avoid disappointment. Discernment allows hope while keeping wisdom awake. You can be wise without becoming cold. You can be hopeful without becoming naive. You can be forgiving without becoming unprotected. This balance will matter in your next season. I am not leading you backward. That means some old versions of connection may no longer fit. Some habits will feel too small. Some environments will feel too noisy. Some conversations will feel too draining. Some ambitions may lose their shine. You may wonder why something you once wanted no longer excites you. Do not panic. Desires can mature. You can outgrow a prayer because the deeper need has become clearer. You once asked to be chosen by people. Now you want peace. You once asked to prove yourself. Now you want purpose. You once asked for attention. Now you want alignment. You once asked to be needed. Now you want to be loved without having to earn it. Those changes matter. Your next chapter may not look like the life you imagined years ago. That does not mean it is smaller. It may be more honest, more peaceful, more sustainable, more aligned with who you actually are. Sometimes the life you lose was built around survival. The life ahead can be built around wholeness. You do not need to recreate what broke you just because it was familiar. Let the new be new. Let healthy love feel different. Let healthy work feel different. Let rest feel different. Let prayer feel different. Let your relationship with me become less like an emergency call and more like companionship. Talk to me during ordinary moments before the meeting. During the walk, after the difficult text, while preparing dinner, before making the purchase, when you feel tempted to say yes too quickly, when you are angry, when you are grateful, when you do not know what you feel. Bring me into the actual life you are living. Not only the dramatic parts, that is where closeness grows. You will begin noticing guidance in ordinary ways, a thought that brings clarity, a scripture that corrects your perspective, a wise sentence from someone you trust, a delay that gives you time to rethink, a sense of unease that makes you ask better questions, a calm conviction that a path is right even though it requires courage. Do not turn every coincidence into a prophecy. Do not live anxiously searching for secret codes. You do not need constant signs to know you can seek wisdom, pray honestly, and make thoughtful choices. I am not trying to make you afraid of missing me. I am teaching you to walk with me. That relationship is steadier than panic. You do not need to believe that one wrong decision ruins everything. You can correct course. You can learn. You can return. You can ask again. Grace gives room for growth. So, stop treating life like a single test. You are always one mistake away from failing. Walk humbly, listen carefully, act honestly, repair what needs repair, release what needs release, then keep going. That is a healthier kind of faith. My child, you have spent enough time thinking that every hard season is proof something is wrong. Some hard seasons are simply hard. Some involve grief. Some involve consequences. Some involve other people's choices. Some involve circumstances no one could control. Faith does not require you to call pain good. It teaches you that pain does not get the final word. You can acknowledge what hurt without building your home there. You can seek help. You can talk to trusted people. You can rest. You can receive professional support when a burden exceeds what you can safely carry alone. You can pray and also take practical steps. Wisdom is not the enemy of faith. Taking care of your mind and body is not a lack of trust. You were created as a whole person. Treat yourself accordingly. Sleep matters. Nutrition matters. Movement matters. Community matters. Honest conversation matters. Boundaries matter. Prayer matters. Rest matters. None of these have to compete. A faithful life can include all of them. You are learning to stop spiritualizing every form of exhaustion. Sometimes you are not under attack. Sometimes you are tired. Sometimes you do not need a battle plan. You need sleep. Sometimes you do not need another explanation. You need to eat, breathe, step outside, and let your body settle. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is stop. This does not make you less devoted. It makes you more honest about being human. I will meet you there too. Your body is not an inconvenience to your spiritual life. Care for it. Do not punish it for needing limits. The next season will ask for your presence, not your depletion. This is why I am teaching you to release unnecessary weight now. The need to control, the need to impress, the need to be understood by everyone, the need to carry tomorrow, the need to relive yesterday, the need to fight every battle, the need to prove that you are strong, the need to earn love, the need to rush. Put these down, not all at once if you cannot. One at a time. Notice what comes back. Release it again. Healing often happens through repetition. You may have to surrender the same fear more than once. That does not mean the first surrender was fake. It means habits take time to change. Be patient with the process. You are not failing because a thought returned. You are learning a new response. Each time you choose the new response, the old pathway loses some of its authority. This is how inner freedom becomes more natural. Slowly, repeatedly, honestly, with grace. One day you will notice that what once consumed hours now passes through your mind in minutes. One day you will realize you no longer feel the urge to explain yourself. One day you will see an old trigger and respond differently. One day peace will no longer feel suspicious. One day you will wake up and understand that the season changed quietly, not because everything outside became perfect, but because what was happening outside no longer had the same power to control what happened inside. That is a turning point. And I believe you are closer to it than you think. Do not rush to announce it. Live it. Let the fruit grow. Let your life become calmer. Let your choices become clearer. Let your relationships become more honest. Let your pace become sustainable. Let your prayers become simpler. Let your faith become less about proving and more about trusting. Let your service become less about exhaustion and more about love. Let your future become less about fear and more about faithful preparation. There are good things still possible. Do not let disappointment train you to expect only loss. Hope does not require certainty. It requires openness. Remain open to new connection, new work, new ideas, new peace, new routines, new opportunities, new ways of understanding your own story. Your future does not have to copy your past. The person you are now can make different choices, and different choices create different outcomes. You are allowed to build slowly. You are allowed to choose stability. You are allowed to prioritize peace. You are allowed to say no to what drains you. You are allowed to receive love without performing. You are allowed to become a beginner again. You are allowed to change your mind after gaining wisdom. You are allowed to outgrow old definitions of success. You are allowed to want a quieter life if quiet is where you become whole. The world may not understand every choice. That is okay. You are not living for the world's constant approval. Stay close to truth. Stay teachable. Stay humble. Stay kind. And when you do receive something you prayed for, remember what the waiting taught you. Do not forget gratitude. Do not forget rest. Do not forget the people who loved you when nothing looked impressive. Do not forget the quiet routines that kept you steady. Do not forget the boundaries that protected your healing. Do not trade the peace you built for the pressure of maintaining an image. Success should not require you to lose your soul. A blessing should not become another prison. Steward what comes with wisdom. Ask, how can this serve what is good? Ask, how can I remain grounded? Ask, how can I share without showing off? Ask, how can I protect the relationships that matter? Ask, how can I stay close to God in abundance the way I learned to stay close in need? These questions will keep your heart anchored. You are not only preparing to receive, you are preparing to remain whole after receiving. That is why this season mattered. It taught you what you value. It exposed what controlled you. It clarified who was consistent. It showed you where you were overextended. It revealed the cost of living without boundaries. It taught you the difference between being admired and being known. It showed you that not every delay is rejection. It showed you that you can survive disappointment without becoming bitter. It showed you that you can begin again. Those are gifts hidden inside a difficult chapter. Do not romanticize the pain, but do not waste the wisdom either. Carry the wisdom forward. Leave the unnecessary weight behind. That is the exchange I am inviting you into. Wisdom for worry, peace for pressure, discernment for confusion, rest for striving, honesty for performance, hope for cynicism, grace for self-condemnation, trust for control. This is what a new season can look like before anyone else notices. It begins inside, and then, over time, the outside begins to reflect what has changed within you. Your decisions shift. Your relationships shift. Your schedule shifts. Your standards shift. Your conversations shift. Your opportunities shift. Not because you manipulated the world, because you stopped cooperating with patterns that kept you stuck. That is real movement. Before this message ends, I want you to do one simple thing. Do not make a dramatic promise. Do not pressure yourself to transform everything tonight. Choose one burden. Name it. Maybe it is the need to control the outcome. Maybe it is fear about money. Maybe it is guilt about the past. Maybe it is resentment towards someone. Maybe it is the need to be understood. Maybe it is exhaustion from trying to rescue everyone. Maybe it is the belief that rest has to be earned. Name one, then pray simply, God, I do not want this burden to lead me anymore. Show me the part that belongs to me, and help me release the part that belongs in your hands. That prayer is enough for a beginning. Tomorrow, practice it again. When the burden returns, notice it. Do not shame yourself. Release it again. Growth will come through repetition, and while you practice, stay connected to people who help you become healthy. Choose conversations that bring clarity. Choose communities that make room for honesty. Choose relationships where prayer is not used to manipulate, but to support. Choose teachers who point you toward wisdom, humility, truth, and compassion. Your faith should make you more grounded, not more afraid, more loving, not more suspicious, more honest, not more performative, more peaceful, not more easily controlled. Remember that. You do not need fear to stay close to God. Love is a better teacher. Trust is a better guide. Wisdom is a better foundation, my child. You have carried enough. The next chapter does not require the same weight. It requires a different posture, open hands, clear eyes, a teachable heart, a steady pace, a willingness to rest, a willingness to say no, a willingness to say yes when the right door appears, a willingness to accept that some things will remain unanswered for a while, a willingness to live today without forcing tomorrow to reveal itself early. You are closer to peace than you think, not because every challenge is ending, because you are learning what no longer belongs on your shoulders. And once you understand that, the road begins to feel different. The same hill becomes lighter when the unnecessary baggage is gone. The same future becomes less frightening when you stop insisting on controlling every detail. The same past becomes less powerful when grace becomes louder than regret. The same world becomes easier to navigate when you no longer need everyone to approve of your path. This is freedom in practice, not escaping life, walking through life without allowing every burden to become yours. You can care deeply without carrying everything. You can love people without controlling them. You can prepare for tomorrow without living there. You can remember yesterday without staying there. You can work hard without worshiping productivity. You can rest without apologizing. You can pray without performing. You can be uncertain without being abandoned. You can be healing without being finished. You can be growing without being perfect. And you can be loved while you are still becoming. Let that truth settle. You are still becoming. There is more to learn, more to release, more to receive, more to understand. But you do not have to rush. Walk with me. One step, one day, one honest prayer at a time. If this message spoke to your heart, subscribe so you can continue walking through messages of faith, healing, wisdom, and hope with this community. Like the video if you want to keep this reminder close, and in the comments write Amen or leave a prayer request. We will pray that God gives you peace where you feel pressure, wisdom where you feel uncertain, protection where you feel vulnerable, and strength for the next faithful step. May your heart become lighter. May your mind become clearer. May your home become a place where peace can grow. May you have wisdom to recognize what belongs in your hands and courage to release what does not. May you stop measuring your worth by how much you can carry. May you remember that rest is allowed. May you remember that boundaries can be loving. May you remember that one difficult chapter does not define the whole story. May you have patience with the parts of you that are still healing. May you have courage to walk away from what repeatedly steals your peace. May you recognize healthy love when it appears. May you receive good things without fear that they will disappear. May you trust that slow progress still matters. May you find grace for today instead of borrowing tomorrow's worries. May your prayers become places of honesty rather than pressure. May your faith become steady enough that you do not need panic to feel close to God. And may you step into the next season with less weight, more wisdom, and a heart that knows it does not have to walk alone. You have carried enough. Put down what is not yours. Keep what is true. Walk slowly, stay close, and let peace teach you what fear never could.